أنتم الذين بالمسيح تمتم المسيح قد لبستم Hallelujah. Good afternoon, listening audience. I'm very happy to be with you today. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I'd like to continue our discussion, and I just want to show you something. All this came in, these are all suggestions that people have emailed me to talk about. So don't be shy to email me at Economos Antony with no H, A-N-T-O-N-Y, at gmail.com. And I would love to hear your suggestions, comments. And don't be too critical, a little bit, not too much, just enough to get me to keep me on track. So today I want to talk a little about suffering and pain. I think I mentioned that at the beginning. I was going to do that, and I hope you don't mind. You'll indulge me if I kind of tell a personal story. When I was in the seminary and I was beginning my second year, I began having fainting spells. In coup de la grâce, I was sitting on the couch in the apartment that we had rented, Bishop Antony and myself, and a picture fell off the wall and hit me on the head. It literally knocked me out. Well, I was having these spells, and they were really frequent. So I ended up going home, and I was taken to the hospital, and it was discovered that I had a rare blood disease, and at the base of my skull I had a tumor that had to be taken out, that was pressing, I guess, on a nerve, which was causing my dizzy spells. Now, just for your information, because I've heard this on television and so many medical programs in the last couple years when I never heard about it before, it's called Beck sarcoidosis. That particular disease caused me to have problems with my lungs. I had nodes on my lungs, and all kinds of autoimmune issues. In fact, it is said that when and by the way, I probably spent, I can't tell you how many operations I had before I was diagnosed with cancer. I was constantly being hit by something. And the only explanation was that this was this disease was very active. In fact, I've had 2 cousins die from it. The last one was George Saba from Montreal. He had it for years, and it till he couldn't breathe anymore. Mine went to my spleen, went to other places. Anyway, it was alleged by hematologists from my church, Dr. Alan Brock's a childhood friend too, that he felt that the metastatic colon cancer that has spread pretty rapidly was due to the Beck sarcoidosis. In fact, when I underwent surgery 10 years later, after the cancer and the chemo and that assault, I'll get back to that in a minute. When I went into a coma, I was induced a coma because I was completely toxic with MRSA and whatever else. And anyway, I was in a coma for 6 weeks after 10 operations in 1 week. And again, it was alleged that it was my immune system was so weak that whatever was going to go wrong with me went wrong. I have to say that from my youth up, I was constantly confronted with health challenges. And I'm sharing this personal story with you because in my relationship with others, I draw upon my own personal experience. Because I think suffering gives you the third eye to see reality as it truly is. I had so many health issues and confrontations over the years. Like suffering was my constant companion. Pain was my friend. I remember when I was told that I had metastatic colon cancer that has spread to the lymph nodes and that I did not have long to live. And the surgeon told me maybe 3 years. I looked at him. I said, you know, you're not God. And I know God doesn't want me. And certainly the devil doesn't want me. I have to stick around so I can keep up causing as much trouble as I possibly can. Well, it was really like I was hit with a truck when those words spilled out of his mouth. I'm going to do this in 2 parts, by the way. Well, I was put on an experimental program that came on the University of Pittsburgh, a whole different kind of cocktail for 6 straight months. I can't tell you what it did to my body, how it ravished my body. The pain that I went through. And yet, all during that time, one of the things I did, I listened to liturgical music. You remember those Walkmans we used to have in the old days? I listened to Sister K. Ruse from Lebanon singing the Holy Week. Or I would forays a Requiem. Anything that I could, any sacred music I could listen to so that I would have a positive energy coming in while this negative chemo would be killing cancer. I wanted something positive coming in my body and soul. And to tell you the truth, all the time that I was taking chemo, I was on the telephone helping others with cancer. I remember the doctors coming into my room and saying, "Are you crazy?" And then the nurses would tell him, "Leave him alone. It's his reaching out to others that's going to get him through this." And it came to me then that transcendence in suffering, reaching out to others in joyful suffering, helps one to heal, helps one to cope. Because if you're centered on the why me, God help us, there'll never be any progress. You remember that book written by that rabbi, why the bad things happen to good people? I always thought to myself, why would I be exempt? Just because I'm Father Antony? So I knew that, what are those words from the gospel? Take up your cross and follow after me. Joyful suffering. End of part 1.